Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerosity, and if you're seeing me, you must already know that it's another great interview coming up. So before I introduce who it is, think back. Think back to our high school years and shortly thereafter, all the great dance music from Kool and the Gang. Now, progress just a little bit further, like say 2.5 years ago, you may recall that I had a great interview with Kool of Kool and the Gang. That's Robert Bell. He goes by Kool. And now I get to talk to the keyboardist of the band, Curtis F. Williams. But we're not talking about a Kool and the Gang album here. We are talking about an album made from demos of the band's late drummer, George Brown, who died about a year and a half ago. He left behind some demos of jazz music, very good jazz music. And so Curtis and some others got together. They took those demos, they added to them, and mastered them into a great album called George Brown Jazz in Paris. It's a wonderful jazz album. I love jazz. I don't know as much about it as I would like, but I know what I like when I hear it, and this is one of those albums. So I encourage you, if you're into jazz at all, please, please, please get this album because you're going to absolutely love it. And as I always ask, while you're listening to this, would you hit like? And if you're not already a subscriber, would you please hit subscribe? Free of charge, of course. It just helps us out tremendously. You have no idea how well it helps us out, but it does, and it won't cost you a dime. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I know will be more interviews to come, because you'll hear it in the interview with Curtis F. Williams of Kool and the Gang. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerosity. Take care. Hello, Curtis.
Hello, Randy. You got me? Do
I
I
can
have
hear
everything
you.
on?
Yes,
you
you
can see
do.
me? Okay,
I
I
sure
got it
can.
on. Okay,
Love the
that's good.
T-shirt. I want one of those. I
Oh,
guess I
you
got to
want?
get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in order to get one, huh?
Well, I mean, we can work something out. Oh man.
Well, hey, I appreciate making this call happen. And Curtis, I want to thank you for two reasons. Not only joining me today, but thank you for all the years of great music. It's
Oh man.
when I can listen to the radio and I hear a Kool and the Gang song come on, I can, now you're number two from the band. I talked to Robert a couple years ago
Yeah.
when and that was a fun chat. And now I get to talk with you. So thank you
Oh
for
yeah.
joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Where are you clicking in from?
I am clicking in from Los Angeles, California. That's home for
Oh,
me.
oh, okay. And I'm sure you're tired of answering this question, but did the fires get close to you, and how did they affect you?
Well, I am absolutely not tired of answering that because it was um, quite a unfortunate situation for many, many people. Fortunately for me, I was in a good location. So myself, family, house, and possessions were all safe. But yeah, what a devastating period with our conditions here in Los Angeles. But yeah, I appreciate you checking, and we were fine. Thank you.
Well, good, good. I know it's a scary thing. I experienced
Yeah,
something similar here in the Smoky Mountains 6 or 7 years ago.
wow,
It came within 4/10 of a mile of my place, so
that that's very
it's
close,
scary,
scary
very,
close.
very scary.
Yeah.
Well, I love what I have heard from this album. Tell me about it, man. This is cool. I'm anxious to hear all the backstory on this.
Woo. Yeah, the album is man, it's quite beautiful. Um, as cool, being a member of Cool in the Gang, ironically, how about this? The original name of the band when they first formed, which was before I joined, of course, was the Jazzy Acts. So
Huh.
obviously, their main influences were jazz, and that permeated through all the years of recording and creating. There was always that backdrop, that undercurrent of jazz influence. Obviously, the years of the 70s. Again, I didn't join until 1981. So, but when you listen to that music, you hear the funk, but there's always going to be the jazz elements with
Mm-hmm.
arrangement, chord structures. So subsequently through the years, even after I joined, there was always talk of a Kool the Gang jazz album, and I thought, oh man, that'd be exciting. Um, that didn't really come to fruition, but subsequently George Brown, one of the main creative forces and writers, um, he had begun to just put together music and ideas just through the years, and I didn't hear a lot of these songs in their beginnings. One of the songs in the Land of Allah, I did play on that, but that was a dedication to another one of our founders that passed, Ronald Bell, Cool's
Hmm.
brother. Um, but then the years after that, George is just very prolific as a writer of all formats. He's just amazing. So I heard he had been putting together different jazz songs and things like that. I was asked to help facilitate finishing the record. So I really didn't hear any other material until sitting down with Wolfgang Eichholz, who's one of the other co-producers and engineer, longtime colleague of George. And I do have to mention, unfortunately, he passed recently, and it's
Oh, wow.
we're very saddened by that because he was just a beautiful soul, brilliant at his craft, and working with him is just amazing. So we have that spirit that's with us for this record. Um, he and I sat down. Um, Han Brown reached out for me. The executive producer Claude Ishmael reached out, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna need help finishing the record." So went to the studio. It's actually close by where I live, and just running the songs down. I could hear they needed to be finished, but they were some of the most beautiful pieces of harmonies and melodies and the chordal structures and the arrangements. And I was just so honored, humbled, and I thought, okay, we're going to do our best to honor George's spirit, his vision, his creativity. And yeah, and we just started bringing in live music, musicians. So acoustic bass, drums. We got the incredible Vinny Caliuta on drums on like 6 songs, which is another thing. You figure you got this amazing drummer playing on a legendary drummers album. So he was taken aback by that. Vinny, who he's incredible. Bringing in the horn players, alto sax and flutes and ethnic instruments, trumpet players, because a part of the approach with the record, I believe George was had the opportunity to present some things for or submit songs for a proposed Miles Davis movie, and so you can hear a lot of the influence there. George is just influenced by so many different jazz artists, Miles
Hmm.
being one. So you can hear those influences with the muted trumpet. It's so iconic of the sound of Miles. So we brought some of those sounds were there virtually, like with the keyboard. So I'm like, oh no, we got to have a trumpet player come in and play these melodies. Um, and it was just an incredible experience to take what was there, fill in the gaps, get it finished, and it was just so much fun. And I was just so um, I was just highly impressed. It's beyond impressed. I was just really, really just amazed at what the palette George had put together musically. It's beautiful
Hmm.
work.
One
It's just
thing, one thing that struck me as I was listening to the one cut that I got to hear from this album, some great jazz or some great musicians, especially drummers, and the two
yeah,
drummers came to mind that
yeah,
love to, when they're not working in their core group, they
yeah,
like to go play jazz. And one was
right.
the late Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones. He put out
Oh
a
yeah,
live jazz album recorded in
right.
Paris, oddly enough.
Oh wow,
And then Cindy Santana, she loves jazz
wow.
and gets off on the whole, especially Miles Davis. So,
Oh yeah,
so to hear that this album is coming, I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But that was one thing that struck me as
oh
I
yeah.
was reading up on this and listening to the cut. How long did it take you guys to, once you got the tapes, figuratively speaking, out
You know,
and worked on and ready for release?
I think it was about maybe like 3 months. It really didn't take very long. We had some
Hmm.
great musicians that come in and boom, boom, boom. They go through stuff like, because some things were, readily, like the ideas are right there. There were melodies where George had already written, and we, kind of like just play on top of those. And then, there's always the creative aspect of, ooh, what could go here, what could go there. So filling in the, that's what I mean, filling in the gaps. But the ideas were coming, they were just rolling out because he really left such a beautiful, like I said, a palette of music. It's just really tremendous. And when you get to dig in more of the record, you'll hear there's one of the ones that I call it hauntingly beautiful is Francis. You'll hear what I'm talking about. Man, the it's so much into like you feel like you're in a cafe in Europe. It doesn't even have to be
Yeah.
necessarily in France, but even the name of the album, Jazz in Paris, is just so elegant, man. It's so
Yeah, it
chic.
is.
But and this Francis song, man, it messes with my head with the melody and the chords and the you've got a whole mesh of you've got soprano sax, uh, bass clarinet. I think there's some flutes rolling through, and that's what the great Louis Van Taylor contributed to a lot of the woodwinds on the album. And that song in particular just has like, oh, it's just you'll hear it. Francis. Keep Francis in your mind for that, the way the melody and the chords move and I just go, man, George, bro, where's this coming from? It's amazing. And I was jokingly telling Wolfgang and our working together, George should have written a book of his harmonic structure. Because some of the stuff, I play piano. It's like I can't figure out what he's doing. I'm trying to play the right chords on top. I was like, I don't know what, because he had a different way of voicing. So and it's interesting when you have so keyboard's not his first instrument or piano. It's drums. But George is again prolific. He plays guitar. He plays drums, obviously. Um, I think he might have wanted to start working on some of the woodwind instruments, but his piano playing just kept evolving and evolving. I would hear him just mess around at times, and then it started becoming this mix of Thelonious Monk and
Mm.
man Herbie, and it's like, then his own thing. Like, what is he playing? And it's really really cool. And then that song in particular, that one, there's a beautiful song called Juliet, um, where he was just apparently Wolfgang caught him essentially musing, if you will. I guess George had an idea, and it's really cool when you have your studio at your home.
Hmm.
He had converted his garage into really, really nice studio facility, so he could just run out and play at whatever time. And so that's the beauty of having that at your disposal. So I guess he had been working on this idea. He went in one day, and Wolfgang came in, heard him playing, and just hit record.
Wow.
So uh, and then Wolfgang's like, well, maybe because he didn't finish it. It got to a point where it just like cut off because he didn't know it was being recorded. But it's just this beautiful piano piece. I'm like, Wolfgang, I know I could play it, but I can't play it like that. George, it's his character. So I was like, no, I'm going to leave it and then we'll just move around it. It's so
Hmm.
beautiful. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a inside the cut of Juliet because he didn't finish. I do finish it, and my approach was to continue playing, not my style, but I wanted to be in George's spirit. So you really can't tell when George is done and I start, and I really love the way it seamlessly
Nice.
fit together. But that's a very beautiful piece too, and it just happened to be again. I call it him musing. He just sat on, sometimes just playing, and you don't even know you're being recorded. So we captured that. Wolfgang captured it, and then I was able to, along with Wolfgang, finish it, and it's really beautiful. Um, I have to point out, "Addicted to the Hustle." You'll get to that. That might be almost the last song. That's got a vibe. So I didn't when I saw the title because all these titles seem to correlate with the whole jazz in Paris flair, the elegance, the chic, the cafes,
Hmm.
and things like that. And then it got to addicted to the hustle. I'm like, I don't even know how that works. It just didn't. it just didn't seem elegant enough. And uh, when I first listened down to the tracks, I would put notes on, each song and, what could go here, what could go there. And I have to admit, when I got to Addicted to the Hustle, I just wrote no. And I laugh at it because I couldn't hear it at all because it was so sparse. Like it really didn't have anything. And I just didn't, I don't hear how this can work, even with the title. So I went home, just kind of processing things. And then when I came back to give my assessment with Claude Ishmael, the executive producer, Wolfgang, co-producer and engineer. And when we got to that one, I was like, guys, that one I think we should probably not include. And, I'll just write something. And they just very, um, in an encouraging way, very supportive. They essentially said, we, but that was George's vision. There's something to it that he wanted that there. So figure it out, essentially. But they did it. They weren't like resistant to me thinking maybe not, but it was just very positive and encouraging. And I said, okay, when you put it like that, it's, honoring his spirit. It's something he wanted it. So we got to figure it out. And we were able to figure out, it's a really fun track when you get to that. And um, I'm happy about it. And I was asked by another person interviewing, like, what do you think George would think? I know he'd be really proud because he put in his heart and soul, and it illustrates his amazing creative force, even in that realm, right?
Yep.
Because they were doing. Most people are going to think of Kool and the Gang, pop, funk.
Right.
They know there's jazz, but this is truly a organic jazz record. I mean, it's a jazz album.
I want to circle back to that thought about what he would think, but I want to lead into it a little bit different angle. But before I do, I
Yeah.
want to ask: were any of these demos done on tape, or was it all done digitally before you guys started working with it, or a
Yeah, it was all
combination of the
digital.
both?
No, it was all digital, and that was
Oh,
very
good.
helpful. Yeah, so it's digital.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Wolfgang mixed it in the analog way of thinking. I mean, it sonically sounds fantastic. Yeah,
good deal. So when you were working on this, and this
yeah,
is I'm going to I have it down as two separate questions, but I could also see where they kind of dovetail with each other and be a subset to the original question. Were there
yeah.
any surprises while you were working on this? And did any memories? I mean, you kind of alluded to it a minute ago when you're saying you were kind of like talking to George and saying, "Come on, man, what were you thinking here?" That kind of
Uh,
thing. But were there any memories that come to mind while you were working on this?
yeah. You figure we're doing this posthumously, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's very emotional because I started with Kool in the Game when I was 18. So essentially,
Wow.
still, I mean, I
You
wasn't an
grew up
adult,
with them. Yeah.
right? So it's home, right? And so you lose your family member, and you have to, and it's like, okay, now we're working on this music, and yeah, it's very emotional. So memories, just like even um, like the song "In the Land of Allah," just remembering Ronald Bell in that, and just the whole flavor of what George was conveying in that song, and it would be, also being influenced by their some of the guys' Islamic faith, um, and just in praise of just life and living it and happiness together in his family. Uh, Thinking there's one of the songs where George he actually did the drums on the keyboard, but it felt live. I can't think of which one. I'm not sure which one it is, but and then just thinking there are times when during the course of all the shows we would do through the 80s, sound checks, rehearsals, and yeah, at times we would jump into just some like just jazz flavored things, and thinking along of how George, he had his own style that has been, documented, recorded, sampled, and
Hmm.
just watching how he would play. when he's swinging on that cymbal, and it's sometimes at like rehearsals. And so the one song, interestingly enough, he was able to play it even though he didn't sit down at a drum set. It's still his live performance on a keyboard set, right? And it
Oh,
sounds really
wow.
great. It might be I think it's Weston Avenue. Yeah, I think that might be the one where he's actually playing the drums on the keyboard, and it's really cool. So it makes me think back on those times we would just jam on some jazz rehearsal or sound check or something.
I read in the press release that you have a couple shows coming up to present the music, basically. Tell me about those
Yeah,
couple
so
shows.
that's gonna be April 24th, right here in the Los Angeles area in West Hollywood at a place called Sun Rose, and it's to correlate with the release of the album. So yeah, we got the George Brown Jazz Ensemble. We've been rehearsing for that. It's really exciting to bring this recorded music into the live
Hmm.
venue, into the live format. Like, and it's just, we're all so excited and so honored. And yeah, April 24th. Right now, it's set up for two shows. We might do maybe one long show. We'll see. But we are going to be playing the songs from the album. There's going to be a couple songs off the album uh, in that vein. But yeah, I've got some
Hmm.
really great musicians, and I'm doing that. I'm a co-music director with, I mentioned Louis Van Taylor earlier. He's a brilliant woodwind player. I could say saxophone, woodwinds. He comes to rehearsals with like bags of stuff, man. He's got flutes, clarinets, soprano sax, alto, tenor, bass, clarinet, yeah, and all that. He has that on the record. So he and I are directing it together, and it's just really exciting. We
Cool.
we're we can't wait to do it. It's a beautiful venue too. I went to see it just a few days ago, Friday night. I checked it out. Beautiful place. And again, it's the Sunrose uh, Cafe at the Pendry Hotel in West Hollywood, and it's April
Very
20th.
cool.
Yeah,
Now, I meant to ask you this before that question, and
yeah.
it slipped me, but the obviously friends and family have heard this. What has been the response to the album?
So far, it's been very positive. I was able to do an interview with Tavis Smiley, and before I even got to sit down with Tavis, his production manager was like, "Oh man, this naming these different cuts," and uh, and I think that it still has to be, formally released. And I really feel strongly that the full reaction would be extremely positive because it's beautiful work. I know that I had to help along with Wolfgang finish it, but again, what was there, what the groundwork was absolutely stunning, stunning, beautiful music.
Will there be, I guess it would depend on how these couple shows coming up in a week or so turn out, but do you foresee any other shows
Oh,
materializing either locally or maybe even on the road so hillbillies like me can see it out here in East Tennessee?
tell you what, man, we sure are hoping that we could facilitate a tour. We're going
That
for
would
it.
be great.
So yeah, I'm hoping that we could definitely do more shows based on this first performance.
Hmm. Well, that'd be great. What's next for you for either solo or with Kool and the Gang? What do you got going
Wow.
on?
I tell you what, you see the big smile. I actually, at the same time I was working on George's album, I had already been starting my album. It's my first album, and my mom reminded me, it's like, you were doing three things at once. You were doing George Brown jazz album, your Curtis Fitzgerald, middle name is Fitzgerald Williams album, and on the road, music director for Kool the Gang. I was like, oh wow, that's right. There's a lot of stuff. So I'm excited about that. That is finished. It's mixed and mastered. Um, we are looking at a first single, probably, definitely summer single, and it's an expression of who I am. I'm varied when it comes to my musical ventures, so it's got a whole mix of everything, and also multi instrumentalist too, because a lot of people don't know. Most people think of me as a keyboardist, but I also play saxes and flute. So all of that's going to be
Nice.
on the album. Yeah. So I'm
Well,
really
hey,
excited.
when this stuff starts releasing on that, let's circle back and do another one of these. I'd like to
Oh,
hear
We
it
have
all
to.
and talk about it.
Yeah, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and I'd love to talk about that as well.
Yeah, well, let's plan on it. Just I don't know if Anna's handling that for you as well, but whoever is handling it, have them reach out to me, or you can reach out to me directly, and
I
we'll
imagine
get
it
this
will.
scheduled and do it.
Yeah, because the Surefire team would be a part. I'm part of the same team through like the George Jazz in
Mhm.
Paris record, so they'll be there on it. Yeah, I'm excited to
Fantastic.
share it with you. Yeah, it's
Well,
cool
good,
stuff.
good. One
And then
one
Kool the Gang,
last.
yeah, we'll just be performing. We've got more shows. Cause where are you? You said Tennessee,
I'm in.
Eastern.
As far as major city goes, I'm close to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So,
Huh.
so
Well, we come
I
close.
forgot to look at the itinerary to see if you guys were playing out here this way, but I'm going to look because I want to meet you guys, man. Like I
Oh yeah,
said,
take a peek.
I like you. I feel like I grew up with Kool and the Gang.
Yeah.
I graduated in 1977, so you can imagine what
Okay.
our school dances were like, right? So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you
a
were right
lot
there
of
in it,
Kool and the
man.
Gang on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see you guys perform, and if I could shake your all's hand, that'd be great. Just to thank you in person for the impact on the soundtrack of my youth and early
Uh,
adulthood, so-called adulthood, and
yeah.
that would be wonderful. How,
What?
you know,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, take a peek. If we're close, wherever you just let us know, man.
All
Yeah, for
right,
sure.
I'll do that.
Have you?
Well, one last question for you.
Oh
You've been at
yeah,
this for a while, and
yeah,
like you said, you cut across all sorts of musical genres and such, and
yeah.
you've heard a lot of stories from people, and so you know what the impact of the music catalog of Kool and the Gang and your solo work as well.
Right.
What, how do you want to be remembered? What do you hope your legacy is?
One of the things I notice, we bring a lot of joy to people, and we've been able to travel the world with this music, and it's amazing. And so, just to continue to, we're blessed, and then it's a blessing that people still like to come hear us. So just to really live in that, the legacy of the joy and happiness we bring, it's always, you know, definitely not going to get political, but yeah, we have things happening through the world. But man, when you go to a concert, everybody's all together, man, just enjoying hearing beautiful music, and we can bring that literally everywhere in the world. So I just hope that, well, no, we do continue in that legacy, the legacy of the joy and the power and the beauty and the togetherness of music.
I'm glad you said that. This was not on my list of things to ask or say, but
Yeah,
I last week or week before I watched the Chuck Berry documentary,
yeah,
and it went back in time, into the 50s when he was first rolling out and all that.
yeah,
And I was struck by, yeah, of course there is a racial divide that has taken place there.
right.
But what was beautiful is how music brought people together.
Yeah,
Race was forgotten about, politics was forgotten
yeah,
about, later the war was forgotten about.
yeah,
And I'm hoping, I mean, people try to drag me into a political discourse all the time.
yeah,
I
yeah.
refuse to. I
That's
absolutely refuse to,
good to do. It's good
because
for
when
your
it
health.
comes right down, yeah, let's enjoy some music together.
Yeah,
Whether it's
yeah,
at a concert, at a club, sitting together listening to this album, I
yeah.
don't care what it is. Those politicians don't even know we exist.
Right,
Let's
right.
just sit together and enjoy each other's company over some great music. And
How
that's,
about that? Yeah, man. And that's what we have the opportunity and the blessing to do throughout the world. I
Mhm.
just saw in the Kazakhstan, if I'm saying that right, that's in June. That got added. We go
Wow.
everywhere. Yeah, we were in the Republic of Georgia last year, and it's everywhere. We might fly to. We were in Kuala Lumpur for a private show, like a weekend private show. So we go. We
Nice.
literally do go everywhere. Yeah, and it's
Very
always,
good.
obviously they want to hear the music, but you see how it affects people, and it's all ages. You can. We've gone places where you could tell the people have been around a while, a little bit older, and then the same show there could be children there. So it's just a
Yep.
wonderful position to be in.
Well, Well, Curtis, thank you so much again for taking this time and again for all the years of great music.
Uh,
Give my thanks to the rest of the band as well, and hopefully
sure.
I'll be seeing you guys sometime soon. If you're coming out this way, I'd love to be able to, like I said, to get backstage and say hi to you, shake hands, and
Oh yeah,
thank you face to face. It would be an honor to be able to do that.
I love that too. And then we will talk again about the Fitzgerald is Back project. It's coming.
Absolutely. I'm looking
Oh
forward
yeah,
to that. That's going to
sure.
be fun too. So
Yeah, yeah.
listen,
Oh yeah.
stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to
Okay,
you again very soon.
man. Great to talk to you. And yeah, you do the same, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you. Take
Randy.
care. Bye. Thank
Thanks.
you,
Bye.
Anna. Bye bye.
Oh, Anna, yeah, we
Bye.
see a
Yeah,
little.
I'm there.
Hi.
She's
Bye,
eavesdropping.
guys.
She's that bratty little
I
sister
know
in the
she's just a
background.
just a logo. What's up?
I'm just letting you guys have your little chat. I'm here to just, yeah,
All right.
we'll be in touch,
Well,
Randy. Thanks so much.
thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.